Hello friends, once again it's me, J-Mac, with my friend and colleague
Keith Webb.
You can tell from our accents that we are England born and raised. In the Shires of Oxfordshire is where we spent most of our days. Days, that is, working on a game that is very close to my heart.
A game, yeah.
I'm sure it's also close to your heart, Keith.
Yeah,
a game that GameSpot described as being a little rough around the edges and doesn't break new ground for 3D platformers.
A game that needs no introduction.
That game, of course, is Guinness World Records. Wait, no, it's Crash Twinsanity.
Right, oh yeah.
I thought it might be Crash Twinsanity.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're going to try and talk about today is Crash Twinsanity's fabled, legendary Lost Level. That level, of course, is gone a bit Coco.
Oh, I've heard of that, John.
I've heard on it. I worked on it.
You worked on it? Oh, wow, okay.
Amongst other people, I did work on this level, and I was very sad when it didn't make it into the game.
Right. So what did you do, John? Can you remember?
Well, it's an interesting question, because the level goes back quite a long way. I think it almost goes back as far as Crash Evolution.
Yeah.
Would you concur on that?
So we think that it probably originally existed as a when Evolution changed into Crash, a whole new dimension. That the idea was to have different dimensions of the same initial Crash world, and one of them was going to be a cute version of it, hence why it was known internally as Cute World. So I don't think initially it really didn't
Cute
have
World, Cute Dimension.
Yeah, it didn't really have anything to do with
So
Coco
we've been
initially.
trawling through the archives and we've found some stuff. We found the original, well actually I don't even know if this is the original design document. Let's see if I can just position this nicely. So originally it was worked on by another designer. She left the company.
Right.
It was in limbo for a bit. Some artwork was done. Some people might have seen this artwork. I think I'm going to try and pull up a picture now.
Yeah.
It looked a bit like this. I don't know if we got any new. We haven't got any. Anyway, let's forget about that. It eventually got rebuilt art-wise and looked a lot nicer. I was working on gameplay. It was playable. There were enemies that looked like this. There was a little teddy bear driving a car. The infamous elephant, which we've talked about in other videos. The cute little rabbits. But it never made it into the final game, which is a sad story. I can't exactly remember why we decided to work on other stuff and not this.
And it was just Cortex who was playable in it, is that right? He was going around shooting.
It was only ever Cortex playable in it. The goal from the beginning was to have Cortex as the main playable character. We also had what we called an atmosphere, which was ripped right out of Wrath of Cortex, rolling balls that you could control around the level.
Not too dissimilar to Monkey Ball, actually.
Well, yeah. Who would have thought it? But we never really got it playable to a good standard. Like, here's what we found. Here's an original rough level map. One of the few of these that managed to survive. The idea was there was multiple islands. You can't quite see it, but there was like these rolling ball tracks. It was very, very rough.
Was this before you started working on
This
it?
was I didn't do this.
Right.
I kind of remember speaking to the designer who was working on it when she was working on it.
Because this, looking at this, like I said, some of the evolution documents, there are some that have a load of islands joined together by rolling sections.
Yeah,
so
we're all about islands connected together
so
by stuff.
This would put this around late 2002, I would imagine.
That makes sense, yeah, because she was still working with us then.
Right.
But after she left, it kind of got put on the back burner. We found this document that I just kind of showed you. It's not displaying the images for some reason, but we can kind of have a scroll through this. Overall map. Was this the overall map?
That must be it.
I don't know, it must be it.
Yeah, because it had 5 islands.
I don't even know if there's anything that interesting in here, so maybe I'll just slowly scroll through it, and the more interested viewers can have a listen. I'll show you the images that were probably in here in a second.
So this would have been then before it became redone, and before it was, if it had the roller brawl, the atmosphere in, was it still Cortex at this stage? Do you remember?
Well, from looking at this, we've got the documents divided into atmosphere level and Cortex shoot 'em up
Okay,
section.
so it was, yeah, right.
And because the atmosphere idea that we inherited from Wrath of Cortex ended up being
The roller
brawl,
Yeah.
which was Crash and Cortex having a fight and rolling around. It kind of controlled the same, but it had that, that extra humorous aspect that we were going for. So I think we kind of forgot about the atmosphere thing, and we concentrated instead on the Cortex shoot 'em up section, which is what I remember working on. I think I'm going to try and grab some of my, you're going to have to let me off here. I'm not an artist, so this is my attempt at, I don't know why I was drawing this. I'd usually prefer to just make it in Maya and get it straight in the game, but we had tallish buildings. We had monster spawners. That's something that actually existed. The idea was Cortex had to get in, kill the monster spawners, which obviously eventually became
The elephant.
the elephants. So monster spawners on this map were elephants. I think the idea was, you had to climb up on these buildings when the elephant was firing his little spawnies off the edge at you. I can't. Yeah, there's like a kind of. It looks like a kind of zigzag. I mean, I think this is rubbish and a waste of time. I would never bother doing stuff like this. If I worked on anything else, I'd just mock it up in 3D and get it playing straight away. But obviously the idea was a kind of little zigzag surrounded by pits, and you'd have to get to the middle. Here's, I don't know what this was, even more pointless stuff. A slightly larger map layout.
Would this have been a stealth section or something? Or
Nah, not on this level. I don't know what this was. I almost feel like I was wasting my time. I'm wasting everyone's time looking at it now. More of my attempts. This was some of the stuff that I wanted to have in the level. Cortex shooting targets with his gun. It's a kind of, something that you do with guns. I thought it could be quite fun if Cortex could shoot targets and stuff happens. So here we go. Here we do that again. He's shooting a switch which spins a plank. Basic gameplay stuff. Here I think he's shooting a thermometer, and he's kind of heating it up, and the more he fills up the thermometer, the more the bridge extends. I think we kind of had something similar to that in the boiler room level in the end, but obviously this never went beyond this idea.
What's that? Is that from Coco?
This is so before we had the elephants as the spawners, I just drew it like that. This is Cortex pushing a physics thing on top of a spawner to kill it.
Right.
We were into physics-based puzzles and stuff back then. Here's another one, Cortex shooting out the supports from a physics-based platform that would fall down, and then you'd be able to destroy the spawner. This is Cortex doing some very basic platforming on a sort of oscillating series of platforms. Hey, look at this.
That's
possibly the best game design sketch that has ever been drawn.
That is pretty good.
We obviously wanted a seesaw in the level,
right?
And someone made me draw a seesaw for some reason.
It does look like a seesaw.
This is a seesaw.
Yeah, as well.
You saw it here first. We were going to put a seesaw.
Or a teeter-totter.
Apparently that's what you call it in
yeah.
America, a teeter-totter. We call it
seesaw.
in England a seesaw. Here he is shooting a wall for no apparent reason. I don't know what was going on there, but I'm guessing it's probably quite fun to shoot holes in a wall. And what else have we got in here? some actual good art. This is
So that would have been Rich Alban would have done that.
quick sketch by Rich. We actually had this modelled and in the game.
Which is interesting because I don't remember doing anything at all on Gone a Bit Coco apart from that sketch of the teddy in the car, which means that it probably was all designed up before March 2003.
Yeah.
And there's Rich's.
There's some more art from Rich. I think we've kind of exhausted this is kind of everything we've got. I was looking through this. I wrote some mildly amusing ideas in here. We had some ideas for the little cute characters working together to attack Cortex. So here we had something. This would have been quite fun to try and get working. I think we have the stack and smack. The bunnies would bunch together and climb on each other's shoulders, forming a large tower, which then topples forwards on top of Cortex in an attempt to shower him with as much love in as short a time as possible. And of course, Cortex, being evil, does not want to receive love at all, so that's why it causes him physical pain.
Right.
Kind of like it does for me too, Keith.
Yeah, okay. I'll keep that in mind.
So we had the idea for the flank and spank. You can see I had more fun writing this stuff than I did drawing those diagrams, but the bunnies will find a path around the side of Cortex while he isn't looking in an attempt to give him hugs from behind, Keith.
Right.
You couldn't get away. You couldn't get away with that in this day and age. So here we have a drive-by cuting. Do you get it?
No.
Drive-by shooting.
That rhymes with cuting.
It does.
Wow.
If you're an American, you'd probably get that instantly.
I get it now.
Because they have those things over there, but we don't get them over here.
Okay.
Multiple bunnies will leap into a nearby toy car and drive full speed at Cortex. This will mostly result in the player stepping out of the way and the car crashing into scenery, spilling its fluffy contents over a wide area.
Which explains why the
explains why you drew that.
Yeah, wow.
What other hilarity have we got in here? So we had the Teddy Weddy, 4 hits to kill. A teddy bear-esque enemy that we've seen actually was literally a teddy bear who wields a fearsome lollipop with leering vengeance. This sounds like I was having great fun writing this. When he sees Cortex, he will excitedly rush forwards to offer him a lick, which will obviously cause great emotional torment to the tune of 1 hit point. This is what happens when people ask me to write design documents. I just kind of take the piss.
Which is why no one ever did ever again.
Yeah, no one ever asked me to do any design documents after this. Yeah. He will occasionally perform the following special moves.
20 years, just kind of chucked in.
The lolly stop. He will hide behind his lollipop to make Cortex's laser blasts bounce off harmlessly. Unfortunately, while doing this, he won't be able to see where he's going, which gives Cortex the opportunity to sneak around and shoot him in his unprotected hindquarters. Okay. I remember we actually had that working. Teddy Bear was walking around with his lollipop. You try and shoot him, and he'd use it to repel the shots back at you. Ooh. So here we have the famous Ellie Welly. I didn't bother writing anything for this. 1 or 2 special attacks. Dead body explodes after a countdown. So this was the
elephant.
What we now call a tank in gaming terms these days. Here we see, yes, this is what he'd do. He's literally spurting out the creatures. This will never be seen again, but this was working in the game. I made an amazing particle effect of slime dripping out of his trunk when he fired something out. It was absolutely disgusting. As you might imagine, Nicky really enjoyed it.
Yeah. What's interesting about this is it says 2002 on the top there, 2002. Yeah. So it would have been pretty much before.
No,
Well, you think that was just a standard thing that she put on?
We did have this early on, so yeah, that makes sense. 2002. This was around for quite a while.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I asked Nicky to do that. I said, "Can you just make its trunk slowly deflate?" Okay. And well, I don't know. I think that worked.
Yeah.
It's a shame. It was really fun. It was completely different from anything else in the game. Running around, we had loads of the little creatures running around. It was quite chaotic, and if you weren't careful, it could get quite out of control. But yeah, shame. Quite fun. As we've talked about in another video, the elephant was resurrected by what's that game
Crash
called?
on the Run.
Crash on the
Crash
Run.
on the Run, is it? Yeah.
Very different. No spurting trunks. But yeah, so the elephant lived on. Lived on to another day. Everything else gone in the midst of time.
And there's a little bit of footage that exists of this.
Shall I find
online.
that? Yeah, Paul
we'll
did
add
that
it.
thing in his Twitter, didn't he?
But no, we'll add it to the we'll
So yeah, we're going to do a little bit more research, see if we can find anything else to talk about. It's kind of sad, like we can't even remember much about.
But I think even that is some good,
I think that might be
information. Yeah,
I think that might be good information for the more rabid Crash fans.
and like I said, I never worked on it, so the only memories I have of coming in and playing, seeing someone play it, but not too much more detail. I'm going to cut this out because I'm just rambling. So
he's rambling a bit.
So
he's going to edit
might be in the video.
He's going to edit
it
afterwards.
Might be in the end.
Or maybe he'll just leave it in.
Yeah, I'm just going to leave it in.
Just so everyone else knows how incompetent we are.
Yeah,
but anyway, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to crash that like button down there somewhere and do that thing with the subscribe.
Subscribe.
And you'll be first in the queue for more premium content.
That's right. And leave some comments as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Okay. Cheers.
See you later.
Thanks.